Welcome to something short and sweet in the Parsha. This week, Parshas Mishpatim. We are all reeling, deeply pained from the news of the death, the murder of the Bibas children and their mother. We have great empathy for the father, for the rest of the relatives. One can only imagine how is it possible for them to go on. Only HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Amokom Yenachem Osam. Only HaKadosh Baruch Hu can give them consolation, and we pray that should be so. The words of David HaMelech come to mind. Lule saroscha sha'ashuai, if it wasn't that the Torah, I'd have the Torah as my plaything. Ozavadata ba'onyi, then I would just be lost in my pain. Some words of Torah in their memory. We have in the Parsha the mitzvah of halva, of lending to another Jew. It's expressed with the words im kesef talva esami, which seems to mean if you will give a loan. And Rashi immediately says, what do you mean? If it's mandatory. Elsewhere, the Torah says, v'habe tavi tenu. There's a mitzvah to give a loan. You have to give a loan. Why does it say it in a way that we need a Rashi to come along and say, don't misread it? Because this is one of the few places where im doesn't mean if, it means when. Says the Maharal, there's a very important message over here. The mitzvah is introduced by the feeling, the thoughts that a person has when he does the mitzvah of halva. And this is really the way one does any mitzvah, bein adam lachavero, between man and man, when somebody gets tzedakah, when somebody does a chesed. This is the way it's done. It's done as if it was optional. It's something that I want to do because I empathize with you. I see your need and I desperately want to make you whole. I care for you. Somebody needs tzedakah. It's not just, oh, I need to put my hand in my pocket and give him something, as if I need to take a lulav today because it's Sukkot, or blow a shofar today because it's Rosh Hashanah, where the lulav, the shofar, is an instrument of a mitzvah. So too, a person is an instrument of a mitzvah. This is someone that I need to take and give tzedakah to. But no, this is a human being, living, breathing, feeling, and I need to feel for them. And I'm hoping to alleviate their issue. I'm alleviate their pain. So im kesef talves ami, says the Torah. Do it like you feel it. That's the way to do this mitzvah, empathy. And the truth is that if somebody is going to do a mitzvah, to do the mitzvah completely, in all of its aspects, with everything that it's necessary to have this empathy and this feeling, although otherwise it's not going to be done. A beautiful little vignette. I had the merit to be in Yerushalayim this past Shabbos. And Sunday morning, I was in a shul. I came a little bit early for davening. There were few people in this small shul. Maybe it was 30 feet by 70 feet. That's a small shul. And there were about one or two people at every table, which could hold four, but it was sort of constricting to hold four. It was sort of, there were four seats, but it wouldn't be very easy to have four people in each. So there's plenty of room. So everyone coming in, their talus bag and their tefillin bag and their sitter and the rest of their svarim was spread out all over the table. As the people began to file in, people began to bring everything closer to them. By the time Baruch Hu came around, the shul was literally packed. And everyone had brought everything together, everything very close. The talus bag and the sitter, everything was piled up, and everyone made sure to make room for everyone else. They didn't just look away. And it put me in mind of a beautiful Gemara in Sanhedrin. It talks about 3 generations that were great in Torah study. It's a Gemara which is explaining to us the end of the Eshes Chaya. Sheker Hachein. Sheker Hachein, the Gemara says, Zed Doro Shel Moshe v'Yoshua. This is a generation of Moshe and Yoshua. And Rashi explains, She'asku b'Torah harbe. It was a great generation. They were delved into Torah in a major way. All of them, they were proficient. The whole generation, they were the Dardeya. They were very proficient, very much proficient in Torah. Hevel HaYofi, who does that refer to? Zed Doro Shel Chizkiyahu. That's the king Chizkiyahu. And Rashi says, oh boy, that generation was even greater. Osku b'Torah b'Yoser. They were engaged in Torah on even a higher level. Shabodchu midon va'ad Beersheva. They were able to check, to search from the length and breadth of the entire land of Israel. V'lo matzu tinok v'tinoke shel hayu b'kiyan b'halachos tuma v'tara. And you didn't have a child, male or female, that wasn't proficient in the most intricate halachas. That was the second generation. Isha yiras Hashem titis halal. That God-fearing woman, she should be praised. What generation is that lauding? That's the generation of Rabbi Yehuda Bar Ilai. Rabbi Yehuda Bar Ilai, we're not too familiar with him. What's the generation of Rabbi Yehuda Bar Ilai? Rashi says, Shehoyu aniyim. They were poor. And hoyu shisha talmidim miskaske betalas achas va'oske b'Torah. They had 6 students under one garment, and they were engaged in Torah study. And the simple approach to that is that they would fum tzara agra, that even though they were incredibly poor, but yet they were able to delve into Torah, and that propelled them to be a greater generation than Chizkiyahu, and a greater generation than Moshe Rabbeinu. Says Chaim Shmulevitz, there's another point to be made over here. How can 6 people be covered with one garment? One garment's for one person. Says Chaim Shmulevitz, it's only when each person is making sure that the other person is covered, so then every person is going to be covered. That's the feeling I had in that shul. Whenever anyone new came in, everyone said, "Ooh, where's he going to sit?" And well, I had to constrict myself. Each of us had to constrict ourselves to make sure that everyone would have a place in that shul. In order to do chesed, in order to do ben adam lachavero in the best way, you have to feel for that other person. It's not about where I'm going to sit. It's where he's going to sit. It's im kesef talve es ami. Not if, but the way to do the chesed, the way to give alone is with a feeling for the other person. And this day, incredibly traumatic day, we have a deep sense of feeling for that family and for other Jews in general. Let us foster that feeling. Let us bring out that feeling. In kesef talve es ami, to see what the other needs, those who are closest to us and those who are distant from us. Let's use this trauma to bring ourselves closer to each other, to bring all of Klal Yisrael closer to us. We should be like the greatest generation, the generation of Rabbi Yehuda Bar Ilai. We're 6 people, one garment. Why? Because each of us was looking out for the other. Thanks so much for listening. Have a good Shabbos.